I was reflecting recently and I realized I always hear these critiques when it comes to people discussing history. They'll mention how things are as they always were, and it seems to be so pervasive. You think there's this shift going on in the air, and indeed there is, but there's tendency towards just dismissing the past as nostalgia or saying it's rose-colored glasses, but I'm here to tell you it's not. It's simply your memory. It's your memory of Ithaca, of home, of hearth, of the way things were, of your past, your life, your upbringing, your neighborhood, your towns. It was imperfect, sure, I'll grant that. But it was there. There was a place called Ithaca. You have to retain Ithaca in your thoughts. You know, I guess I would put it sort of like this. It's similar to an old man in his 60s. He's recalling the splendor of his might when he was still in his 20s. That splendor did, in fact, exist at one time. It was real, it was there, it existed. He may not have it in that moment while he screams from the sidelines that, and these two are dead, like that Greek playwright, that Greek athlete that Cicero mentions in his work on aging. But all the while, you start to question, why do they do this? Why the reviling? Why do the deconstructionists cling to these talking points? Why do these people eternally insist that things were always the same? There was never any variance, there was never any flux. You know, they insist that you can step in the same river twice. The same river will be the same river. And so they use these bumper sticker platitudes, these innumerable... You've heard these phrases before. It was always this bad. Oh, we just have recordings of it now. Or, oh, it only seems worse than it was. But why? Why do they do this? What compels them? Well, that's because the memory has to be swept away. It stands as the antipode to the multicultural hellscape that we've been corralled into. Those memories of better times stand as the bronze pillar that acts as your immune system. You know, times when people could walk outside in safety, when the local organism could still identify aberrant behavior and act accordingly. It's like the novella Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. We're surrounded by the filth of dead hippopotamus for so long in some foreign environment that we've adapted to the scent. And with that adaptation, our hearts grow black slowly, madness creeping in from the fringes of the mind like some noxious fog descending from on high. We went full native, like Kurtz, huts surrounded by heads on pikes with tribes of savages crawling on all fours, burning the woods of the jungle to pay homage to some false demigod standing there dancing in the midst in a freaking religious frenzy and partaking in debauchery under the weeping starlight. But only in those moments where you shudder from recollection can you glimpse how bad it's become, how abnormal it all is. And just like Kurtz, he gasps just before death. He says, the horror, the horror. He can't believe what's become of him, how dark and how bad things gotten. In one moment of elucidation, a lightning bolt through his mind, cleansing him of darkness, and he sees just briefly what is actually behind the silhouette. Just brings him to his senses, and he can't bear what he sees. And it's sort of like that with us. They want to cast doubt on your memory so they can go full monarch mind conditioning on us, to empty ourselves of ourselves in some unholy kenosis, so the chaos magicians and Kabbalists can fill our heads with deceptions so deep that when they surface, we think they were our own thoughts. We wheel the Trojan horse into our city, and there stands Cassandra wailing under the empty sky. Beware the Noahide laws! Beware multiculturalism! Beware the two-tiered justice system! And next to her, there's Pilate's wife saying, do not kill the just man! Do not kill the just man! And of course, no one listens to them. They just plow ahead. Deny them the satisfaction. Your memories are real. The memories you have are real. When they ask you for the source, you are the source. I am the source. And they'll cling to this insistence that human memory can't be trusted. But they're so inconsistent with that critique that it just doesn't land. Remember Ithaca. Keep Ithaca in your thoughts. Home, hearth, truth, peace. I think the tediousness of collapsing society is why people don't see it coming. You've got this sort of infrastructure failing, potholes 2 feet deep, cars swerving around it, almost getting into accidents, having to come up with this decision. Do I have $1,000 repair bill for my vehicle? Or do I try to avoid it in that moment of panic, blast another driver going past me in the other lane? You know, police are apathetic. City councils have just completely given up. There's the veneer of kindness people used to wear. It's just dropped completely. No one wants to live. No one wants to die. Everyone's just held in abeyance at this point, ensconced with foreign hordes on each side, crowing about the sins of colonization as they repeat them. You've got graffiti staining your landmarks. Your ancient heroes are forgotten. You've got rusting siding on homes and neighborhoods where laughter once echoed off the mouths of babes, playing and bringing delight to the older people who would walk by. And somehow we're told that these things are victories, that we're experiencing a multitude of victories. Are you winning, son? Because some Chabad supporter was elected for president or something? As Saturn devours his children on the left in the first round of the revolution, new children are being birthed on the right, and they're going to be the ones to feed him again in 10 to 15 years. You just mark my words. And as all this unfolds, as everything we've described here unfolds, techno creep marches on, AI ingratiating itself into the minds of men as they merge with machine in the ultimate act of obeisance, preparing us for the ontological change. Somewhere in the shadows, William Ophuls and Joseph Tainter, they sit there smoking expensive Padron cigars, clasping one another's shoulders, howling with laughter at the immutable stupidity before them. We exist now in this permanent state of exception, bare life, la nuda vida, Giorgio Agamben would call it, where we're inside the law's control, but we're all outside of its protection. We're kept on life support in some dank corner in some dusty basement by the old totes stacked together like forgotten history. That's us. No representation, no political will, no attempt to reverse what's been done. Just a fork in the stream while the ship of fools sails on. And amidst the daily noise, something vital to humanity has been lost. Something vital. You won't find it on streets lined with corporate logos or in brutalist structures, lifeless, just like the people who are dwelling within them. And these skyscrapers, like miniature towers of Babel, elongated fingers reaching towards heaven in this march of utopia. You won't see it in the digital space, though hyperreality may try to replicate it crudely. But that vital component that's been lost that I'm speaking of, it's only found in those moments of felicity that you can get in the quietude of creation, in quiet reflection, in Ithaca. Home, place of beauty, place of truth, a place of nobility, a place of kindness, a place of hope, a place of peace, a place of love and warmth, a place of belonging. And that's the place they're trying to hide from you. That's the place they desperately don't want you to remember, that they desperately don't want you to think of. Eden.